Hi, this is Dan Stolebarger, and welcome to this week's Middle East Update. It's the week of January 13th, and before going any further, get the PDF PowerPoint because I don't have time to go over everything for this YouTube presentation. Again, holygroundexplorations.com. Get the PDF. What's going on this week? Well, no big surprise. We've got the whole Obama administration once again. As we're getting closer and closer, we got to keep our eyes open as to what may transpire before the 20th. John Kerry is warning of a regional explosion if the U.S. moves its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Abbas on Friday hammered Donald Trump in terms of your planning on moving the embassy to Jerusalem. You have no idea. The Palestinians can never accept this. This would be a red line, and it cannot be crossed. We'll have to wait and see, because I have friends in Israel say this is a done deal. They're moving. And then I have others that say, well, it'll be a little bit moderate. What they're going to do is they're going to take the ambassador and they're going to give him a presence in Jerusalem, but they'll keep the embassy in Tel Aviv. We'll have to wait and see, because we're dealing with Trump, right? Who knows? Paul Ryan spoke out on the floor of the House of Representatives in Congress this week that basically was very vocal concerning what we did to Israel, this so-called knife in the back. He says, don't be fooled. The UN Security Council resolution that we did not use our veto for, we so-called abstain. He said it's about one thing and one thing only: Israel's right to exist as a Jewish democratic state. These types of one-sided efforts are designated to isolate and delegitimize Israel. They do not advance peace, and they make it more elusive. You know, we've talked about the Obama watch. I just watched an interview on Channel 2 in Israel, and Obama's claiming he hasn't knifed Israel in the back whatsoever. But let me be honest with you, Israelis are very, very skeptical and very aware that the 20th can't get here soon enough. This is from the Times of Israel, a newsletter that I get. The concern is what might happen on January 16th, the Civil Rights Martin Luther King Day. In this interview, Obama reminded the Israelis that he is the president until January 20th. And so the concern is might Obama recognize the state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital on the 16th? And then just sort of the rhetoric or the feeling of many Israelis is that Obama truly is one, if not the worst president in history. From their perspective, their analysis, turning Iran into a regional power, this whole leading from behind scenario, letting the Palestinians actually believe that they have a claim over the Western Wall, the old city, the Jerusalem, or the Jewish quarter. Unbelievable. And so we'll have to wait and see. An article that I'll turn your attention to. One of the reasons that many believe that peace in the Middle East is impossible is the brainwashing that's done with the Palestinian youth. And so here's an article on the textbooks that they have. Make sure you take the time to read that. And again, I guess the bulk of this YouTube will be the embassy, the embassy, the embassy. This terrorist that drove his truck into Israeli soldiers in Jerusalem, killing 4, injuring 15, who was shot dead. Again, imagine, we've been to that promenade overlooking the valley of Kidron, and to imagine this Palestinian just ramming people. Again, why did he do it? By the way, we'll hear he's already been declared a shaheed here in a second. But the Jerusalem move, the embassy moving from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, we're being told that that was the reason behind, he was distressed over this, and that was the reason behind the ramming. Again, more on the embassy, major, if you can call them major leaders, 6 Palestinian leaders close to Abbas have threatened violence recently, threatening a religious war on Friday. In a sermon in the presence of Abbas, the advisor on religion, Muhammad Habish, he said, American recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital by moving the embassy is, quote, are you ready for this? A declaration of war on all Muslims. He goes on to say, if you do this, war will break out. This will not pass in silence. And then sort of back to Kerry's speech and this whole thing when we abstained, because, you know, we need to give the Palestinians a chance, and there's peace possible if we only give back this amount of land, get rid of the settlements, etc. And as you can see in this article, the response of the truck ramming, Palestinians took to the streets, social media on Sunday to what? Mourn? Remember, Abbas has not commented on this, no, but to celebrate the truck ramming event in Jerusalem in which 4 IDF soldiers were killed. This was reported on Channel 2 in Israel. In the Gaza Strip, the ruling Hamas terror group praised the attack, calling it, quote, a natural response to Israeli occupiers and their crimes, and proof that the Jerusalem Intifada is not over and will continue. And so, once again, here we go. And as I've mentioned, from the Palestinian Media Watch, the Palestinian Authority has already granted this terrorist the supreme Islamic honor of calling him a shaheed, a martyr who died for Allah. They will pay his wife about $760 a month for the rest of her life. Abbas has not condemned the terror attack. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine has blessed and congratulates the Palestinians over the so-called Jerusalem operation, and it goes on and on and on. Again, a peace partner, 4 Israeli young soldiers killed, 15 injured, and the response is what? Celebration and passing out candy. And what do we want to do? We want to give them the West Bank? Uzi Dayan. I'm just going to quote a little of this article. Read it for yourself. He's a friend of Holy Ground Explorations. He says, terrorism won't steamroll us. A car or truck ramming attack is a terrorist attack that is difficult to prevent, and it lands a painful blow. He says, we cannot remain silent. We must battle terrorism effectively. He goes on to say, we need to bury our dead. We need to embrace the families. We need to care for the wounded. We need to take a number of steps. We need to investigate anyone who had anything to do with this attack and find all the people who helped or supported this terrorist and punish them all. We need to demolish their houses. We need to deport them to the extent that our law permits. Experience shows us that a supportive environment of incitement like this is going to produce more incentive to do more and more the same. Again, this is not the time to be reflective and sit back and let things calm down. Israelis are ready for action. This cannot continue. Again, take the time to read that. It was Elie Wiesel. I'm now on our quotable quotes. It says, there may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. We must speak out. That's this week's Middle East update. You'll see in the PowerPoint our next tour journey through Israel, April 23rd through May 1st. The best way to support Israel, friends, is very simple. Go to Israel. See it for yourself. Experience it. And then we have what we're calling our Sound of Silence experience, where after the Israel portion, we'll have an extension to Poland, to Krakow, to Auschwitz, to Birkenau, to Warsaw. If any of this is of interest to you, please check out our website, Holy Ground Explorations. And that's it for this week's Middle East update. God bless you all. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I wish you shalom.